But
you
yeah,
know.
it's really heavy.
Yeah, but you know what? That's the thing. Like the box sets are so well done. Like you feel like you're getting your money's worth.
I think so. Honestly, and this is not just me saying this. It sounds like a line, but if I was a fan, which I am, it's got this shit on there. And props to Joe, because Joe and has gone with this guy Steve Hammonds. They go through this stuff like
Mm.
real fanboy stuff I didn't even know existed. It's like, oh yeah, there's a version of so and so. Were you singing the vocal? And it's like, really? And him and Ronan got on there. They remastered it, remixed it, done all this stuff.
Actually, here, let me ask you since, because the box set has X in it, which I happen to love. I think it's a great album.
It's yes. I like it.
It has a Now, and I always loved the acoustic version of Now. I thought that was great. But since we're talking fanboy stuff, when the album came out back in the day, you came and did a promo day in Montreal.
Yeah.
And you went over to a studio and recorded Two Steps Behind, and I think Now, or some other song acoustic. That was the first time I got to meet you and Malvin and the whole crew and Joe. Whatever happened to those songs? They seem to have sort of vanished from the history of the band, but they were recorded and they were handed over to Universal in Montreal. But do you know what happened to those two or three tracks you recorded?
Oh, and there's some really great stuff floating around. I mean, I remember one time with me, Vivian, and Joe done an acoustic performance in the back of a van with one mic, and it came out and we're like, oh my god, it sounds unbelievable. So there's stuff floating around. I don't know, it resurfaces at some point, and then you get stuff like this. And like I say, Joe would probably know. He collects this stuff, so he was really good getting these box set things together. He goes into such detail. It's such a cool thing. I couldn't do that, but he does. He has the energy and the patience for that, which is really cool. Because then when it comes out, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And it's not someone else who's outside the group doing it, and with a different kind of
perspective or agenda, right?
Some A&R guy just picking stuff off the shelf.
Exactly. It's really good, and they're really special. And Joe goes, do you remember when we did this? And it's like, well, yeah, now you say it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool stuff. But yeah, I agree. I think there's some that thing. I forgot all about that until you just mentioned it. But yeah.
Has he pulled any stuff out of the vault where you've been like, oh no, maybe we shouldn't put that out? Or
No, he's really good about that as well. I mean, I'm actually a bit more lax than he is. I go, oh man, if I make a mistake or singing the wrong words or whatever, I'm like, that's cool. He's like, oh, you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah.
So, does Def Leppard have to be perfect? Can you put stuff out? Because as a fan, I like when there's a little feedback or on a live recording, because you go, oh well, at least it's live. Does it have to be perfect?
No, this stuff comes out all the time. Everyone assumes it's perfect, and it ain't. It's like, but it just by association, they go, oh, spend all the time in the studio. But yeah, we have stuff like that all the time. I remember when I did the solo on is a really weird, silly trivia thing. Run Riot, the solo on Run Riot on Hysteria. So we started taking weekends off after when we got back into it. And this was back when I was still drinking. So I went from Amsterdam to Paris and hung out with Motley Crue. I jammed with them on stage in Paris. And this is obviously 85, 86. Got really, really brutally drunk, obviously, with them. It was great. And then the next morning I go in and Mutt goes, okay, let's do that solo. Because we've got to do that solo on Run Riot. And I just felt terrible. And I thought it was fairly awful. It's actually fine. It's more than fine. It's actually really cool. I like it.
Fun solo. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. So it's cool. But, given I would have done that again, for example. But, yeah, now it's got a vibe and everything. And I was like, just felt hungover,
One time where Mutt didn't make you play something 20 times.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, he still made me play it 20 times, I think. But yeah, that again, a myth. Some of the stuff we just bang off. A lot of the stuff on Hysteria, when Mutt became involved again, that it was one take stuff, like going through it. Even rhythm guitar stuff that I'd spent 2 weeks on trying to get right, and then we'd come in and go, oh no, it's fine, let's just bang it down. It's got an energy to it, like Run Riot and Shotgun and stuff like that. So yeah.
It's interesting because last time we spoke, we were talking about, you know, all the myths of the one string in the pre-chorus of Hysteria and like all these things. I'm really curious about this though. When you guys were recording like all the rhythm tracks, for example, like how many overdubs would you do to get like a rhythm track?
It depends. It's like it's never. It's until it's right, until it sounds cool. A lot of the time, we usually would have a thing where me and Vivian do it now. You know, I'll play a Jackson or a Telecaster, a Fender Telecaster with a single coil pickup, and add it to a humbucker guitar, a Les Paul or a Jackson PC1, and it just creates a thickness. But then we do different chords. It wouldn't just be like everyone playing block chords. You play inversions, and that's what me and Steve were doing a lot. And yeah, so until it's right, and then sometimes you go, it needs a bit more, than you add something else, a thicker metal guitar or some high inversion or a melody or a different kind of phrase that goes across it. You know, people have been doing this with vocals, and people have been doing it with orchestras for years. It's not just a block. You have to do it until it's right. And the big thing about harmonies, the melody's got to be there. The melody's got to come through. So many bands who just have a block of sweet, wonderful sounding harmonies, but they lose the melody, the main, you know, grit and the hook of it. So we're very aware of that. It's got to enhance the thing that you're trying to get over.
Yeah. I was reading an interview with Mike Shipley, and he was talking about mixing the record, and I think Nigel is in the interview too. Like, they took different quotes. But it's interesting now because I interviewed Corey Churko from Shania Twain's band a couple of weeks ago, and he worked with Mike Shipley as his mix assistant for 2 or 3 years. And he said to me, he's like, you know, Mike would often say things in interviews like just to throw people off. And like there was something that he said in an interview about Hysteria where he said the Rockman sounded so thin that you guys would have to do, say, like 20 overdubs for a rhythm track, but then you would take it and put it through a Palmer speaker simulator and like do all these like little tricks. Is there any truth to that? Did you run it into a Palmer or?
Absolutely, but that was the next album. That was Adrenalize. On Hysteria, it was actually a Rockman, and to be quite honest, we had such a huge kick drum, snare, and sub bass sonic sound that you could get away with a kind of a little sound, and the main guitar. Well, yeah, the main reason for that was you could do different parts. You could actually add parts. If you was playing through a Marshall and you was just overdubbing, it would get lost. It get sonically, it would tire your ears out, especially when you go back in vocals and cymbals. And have a listen to Hysteria. The cymbals are really quiet.
Yeah.
It's so we can sonically, and this is, I've learned this from Mutt and Mike Shipley. They go on, Mutt will go, yeah, get rid of them cymbals, just crank the vocals up. And sonically, they take up a similar area. So you've only got so much in your pie, so to speak. So you've got this crazy low end bass, this kick and snare that are just ridiculous. So the guitars, you can have fun with them, but they have to, in that case, they're a very small spectrum of it, you know. So that's what that was about.
So how did you guys get that super low end bass? Was it a keyboard?
Everything. We add everything to everything. It's always a misconception. Like my favorite band is The Police, and you know I've listened to them a million times. Like even stuff like Walking on the Moon. It's a bang bang. It's got a piano in there playing it as well. Yeah. Like, you always think, oh, it's Sting playing the bass, and no, there's other stuff there. So we'd always enhance it. All the stuff I do now, I actually add kind of trap loops, hip hop, dubstep loops, and snares and different. Even when I'm doing demos, I add that to just create a vibe. It's so much easier now. It's so much more fun, actually.
Yeah. Well, talking about the box set, you know, Mitch and I, one of our favorite songs is "Perfect Girl," and
it's the greatest song that they never released officially.
Yes.
Thank you.
It really is. So the fact that it's being put out on vinyl now is super exciting. But so the version that's being put out is the Phil Collen demo, but it's not you playing. Where's the version of you? It's not the version, like you're not singing on it. Like where's the version of you singing on it?
It is me singing it, I think. Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
No, because I saw the teaser on Instagram and it was definitely Joe, like singing the vocal.
Really?
Yeah.
that wasn't the song. It turned into something else, I think, didn't it? I think.
Well, it turned into Gravity on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the demo is so much better.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's funny because when I first played the song to Jeremy, I said, "Oh, you have to hear this song, Perfect Girl." And he goes, "There's no Def Leppard song go perfect." I go, "Yes, there is," and I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's the greatest song they've ever recorded." I went, "Yeah, it is."
Thank you. I loved it. I we were going through that thing. So, let's change this. Well, Perfect Girl, maybe it's a bit poppy. That was the thing.
But it's the perfect pop song. It's super fun, and
I hear you. I totally. But we make these mistakes. So hey, maybe we could redo it as a.
Well, listen, if you redo it and stick it on the next album, I'm all for it. And for the X album, it would have been perfect because there was a turn towards a more pop sound at that time, which was fine. And I think it would have been a top 10 single had it been put on and
that way.
Pushed.
Wow. Well, thank you. I dig it as well. I heard it recently as well, and I was like, wow, this is great. It's exciting, and all the above. It's got like a pop thing about it.
I love the drum loop you use in there. Where did you get that?
I get loops from everywhere. I go Apple loops. I go online. I hear things. I create loops. I do that a lot as well. I've got this little. This is my little. Actually, my computer's my studio, my laptop. But I've got this little thing.
Oh, okay.
Kai.
Yeah, that between that and Superior Drummer, which is a program.
Yeah,
it's awesome, and you just create. And I'm not very good at it, but I know what I want to hear, and it's like, wow, this is great, and off you go. It's just about getting inspired for a minute, I guess.
I do want to ask you quickly about Roxanne, because you mentioned before that you're a huge Police fan, and when you listen to the Man Ray stuff, there is definitely an undercurrent of the Police going in there. First of all, talk to me about taking on that song and now having it come out, but also let's expand on the Police. What was it about them that just made them so perfect to you, where you go, yeah, that's my band?
All right. So there's a thing about the especially the musicianship. Certainly with Sting and the way he would sing, it was like they created the perfect hybrid. It was reggae, it was punk rock, kind of post-punk rock, new wave, if you like. I'm being a bit loud, but they managed to combine that, and I think Mutt used to do that. You do country with the Shania Twain stuff. With us, it'd create a perfect hybrid. And to me, the Police were that, and the songs were great, and his voice was amazing. That when you heard people like, say, Ella Fitzgerald, she could do anything she wanted, but she would it would be subdued. And a lot of people who can play that well tend to overdo it, and they don't, like when you listen to Motown stuff. A lot of the guys in the Motown era, the players they said, "Oh, we don't want to play. This is 3 chords." And Berry Gordy, Smokey Robinson, all of those, Holland Doze, they're going, "No, these songs are great." And they would, how can I put this? Not underperform, but you play below their pay grade. And what's so obvious with that, I love Stuart Copeland's drums. They're so over the top. It's like Mitch Mitchell on steroids,
Yeah.
But then it's a different type of music. It's getting reggae, and it's bringing it to the forefront. Yep. And it's like combining that with what you want to hear, the edgy stuff. And Sting's voice, he could sing like Steve Perry if he wanted. It's a Sting thing. But he had this kind of soulful reggae pop, perfect voice. So that with the sound of the band, Andy Summers' guitars were just amazing. Just the sound of it, So the sound of this unit was something that was so appealing to me. I was like, whoa, I'd never heard anything like that.
I gotta say, what's remarkable about the Police is when you look at them, you go, that's 3 people making that sound. And you go,
yeah,
how is that not 10 people?
Well, one of the best songs ever is Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic.
Right.
You listen to Adam's, Side Stick, and then goes into it's Stewart. I mean, it's like, it's so much power, but so much groove and so much musicianship behind it.
But there's also
three people.
overconfidence, which is great. There's that no one's telling them, well, you can't do that. That was rule breaking stuff. It's like you can't play that on that. That's overdone, or you can't play bass like that and sing that high. We just don't do that. But they did, and I think I did like the rule breaking aspect of the Police, because it was literally that thing. It was like they were doing all the stuff that you're not supposed to do, but doing it within the confines of a great song. That's the other thing, you know. Sting was such an amazing songwriter and performer and singer and everything, that it just needed a vehicle, and that was the perfect vehicle for that.
Yeah. Let's get back to the box set really quickly. One of my favorite songs from the Sparkle Lounge is Tomorrow, and that's a Phil Collen song. Talk about that song a little bit, because it's really interesting to listen to. It's sort of like a song that brings me back to Hysteria in a way, like from the guitar arrangement perspective, and like it's just it sounds like Def Leppard to me.
Yeah.
You know? But it's funny because I'll tell you what, I saw somebody comment on like the Perfect Girl Instagram video, for example, and Def Leppard fans are so weird, because you have a certain pocket of fans that, you know, are like, oh, High and Dry, you know, On Through the Night. But then you got people like me and Mitch who are like, oh, Hysteria, Pyromania. You get people saying like, oh, that doesn't sound like Def Leppard. That's not Def Leppard. Whereas this, I'm like, this is pure Def Leppard. Like, how could you say that?
I will add one thing. Another Hit and Run. You can't really top that. That is like the greatest song ever. But that's another story.
Yeah.
The great thing is that everyone has a different favorite. So it's like being a member of.
Yeah. And my favorites change every day, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. You know, it's like BTS, you know, you got a favorite member of the band, and it's the same thing. That's what you want, you know, and favorite songs. It's like you hear that with Beatles songs. I say, oh, I like this era of the Stones. You know, the amount of people that go, Exile on Main Street is the best Stones album. I don't think so. I think it just sounds normal. It's like a normal blues album. The genius stuff was you can't always get what you want, and you know, or just Sympathy for the Devil, where they actually kind of pushed it and done this thing, got this blues route, if you like, and turned it into something else.
Yeah. Can I just quickly ask you though about the production? When you take Hysteria and Pyromania and all the, you know, that are really well produced, you look at On Through the Night and High and Dry and go, if we just had extra, you know, how do you look back on those ones? Are you proud of them, or you're like, oof, man, we were learning, let me tell you.
No. Everything's good. No, it's almost the same when you have a fashion statement. When people go, oh my God, look what you were wearing. I actually don't get embarrassed when someone goes, look, you're wearing spandex and women's high heel shoes. And I'm like, great, that's where I was now. That made me who I am today, you know.
Right.
So it's the same musically. It's a journey. I think you can pretty much everything in life, you can attribute that to the learning curve. And you go, wow, no, it was precious. It was precious at the time. You know, I listened to the girl stuff and that. Actually, even some of the Def Leppard stuff, I go, I wish I'd have done this. I wish we'd have finished this song off. Right. We would have made it a little, but it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. I guess my question really is like, do you write for it to sound like Def Leppard? Like, do you go in with the intention of like, okay, I need to write a Def Leppard song, or I'm writing a Man Ray song, or, you know, I'm writing like just something for somebody else? Like, do you have to get in that mentality of like, I'm writing for Def Leppard, it has to sound like Def Leppard?
No, never. It turns into that, or it doesn't. You know, I mean, this week I've been doing like so many different things. I've done an R&B thing. The last 2 weeks, I played with Slash, Robert DeLeo and Forrest Robinson on one day, and 2 weeks later I'm playing with Chaka Khan on stage, and it was like, wow, this is incredible, and writing just different kind of songs all the time.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, doing the stuff like Quadrant 4 and all these different things, it keeps you excited.
It's amazing. It really is. And I think the diversity, all the artists that we love have an element of diversity. You listen to, say, Prince, or you listen to Zeppelin or the Beatles or the Police. There's a massive amount of diversity, and you find that when someone gets a little single-minded or narrow in their lane, there's a lack of inspiration. I get inspired all the time by reading, writing, watching different movies, different kind of music and everything. And it's it's wonderful. More comes in, more goes out, and you have to get it out. That's the great thing.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the Yeah tribute album, because when I got it and I saw the track listing, you know, it wasn't the bands you would expect. It wasn't Led Zeppelin. It wasn't the Beatles. And it was just like, oh, and you hear Waterloo Sunset and you hear No Matter What and you hear the golden age of rock and roll and you go, oh, okay, they're introducing me to something now. So that was very interesting. Take me through that recording process, because, and maybe correct me, but it's not really a Def Leppard album, because you sort of did your songs by yourself and Joe did his songs with whatever, and Viv. How did that all work out, where everybody sort of went their own little corners and then all of a sudden you've got a Def Leppard album?
I think, you know, we made a point. I mean, you kind of have a briefing at the beginning of most albums. I think it's kind of cool doing that. We've always gone, it'd be like, I think the X album, if I'm not mistaken, that the two big things that were floating around you just hear all the time was like Garbage, the band Garbage, and Backstreet Boys. So you had this parameter. So you go, this is what's kind of happening, you know, commercially at the moment. So it'd be kind of interesting to introduce some of those parameters in, but you can't go too far because you'll start alienating. So I find it a really amazing process. With the Yeah album, it was all about not doing the obvious. So if you're going to do a Bowie song, you know, the Drive-In Saturday, no, I've never heard a cover of that. You know, everyone would go, well, I'm going to do Genie, Rebel, whatever, you know, it's Ziggy Stardust. No, we done something that was a bit kind of left of center. You know, it was like off. It was kind of somewhere that people wouldn't do. So the whole album was like that. And we had to find songs that fit that kind of narrative. And I think that would, the No Matter What was like, kind of sounds like it could be a Def Leppard song. It's got all the harmonies. It sounds like the Beatles. Paul McCartney produced it, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. I know he did work with Badfinger, but so that one. So once something was introduced, everyone was like, "Oh, cool, that's cool. I can see that." Mm-hmm. So you know, everyone kind of brought in a different thing, but everyone was recording it, and then the B-sides or the Yeah Part 2 was something else. It was like we had extra time, and we don't usually have extra time. You know, it's like so it was kind of cool just to reel them out. You know, Viv doing American Girl and me doing Roxanne and well, I didn't do Raw, but Search and Destroy. You know, it was really cool. It was just
cool. Here's something. I want to bring it back to the Euphoria album. Okay, the song All Night. Was that ever meant? And you just mentioned the Backstreet Boys. Was that ever meant to be a Backstreet Boys song?
No, we fairly missed on that. It was supposed to be kind of like a Prince type thing. It was. Mm-hmm. That was the way we were going. Sometimes you miss. You do have as much as I was saying, you just write the songs and they come out. Other times you go, is the point? I'm trying to get to that, and sometimes you miss. But
because there's on the Backstreet Boys album in '95, I think it's the Backstreet's Back album. Mutt produced and wrote a song on there called "If You Want It to Be Good, Girl, Get Yourself a Bad Boy." And it's very similar to All Night, like even like the drum loop and the guitar sound and everything. I was always curious. I'm like, oh man, I wonder if that's Phil Collen on guitar on this, or like if this was supposed to be, because it could have been a Def Leppard song.
Right. A lot of that Mutt. I mean, Mutt is a member of Def Leppard, so you know it's going to sound like that. You know.
Yeah. Here's a random question. I heard a rumor that there's an entire version of Hysteria out there somewhere in a vault with just Mutt singing the lead vocal. Is that true?
I don't know about that. I mean, there's stuff with me singing it. We all do guides, and it's like you know, if you got an idea for something, you go. It kind of goes like this, and there's stuff like that floating around with me and Mutt, Joe doing kind of gibberish vocals and stuff like that. We do it all the time. It's like actually I done one yesterday. I said I've got this. I'm working on this track, and I done a gibberish vocal, and it's exactly that. So yeah, there's stuff floating around for sure. Yeah.
Would you guys ever consider releasing some of that like Hysteria demo stuff? Like, is there proper Hysteria demos? Because I always read that Mutt, if it was worth recording, you just start it and then finish it.
You would. There was always a thing. You know, we was in interviewing different producers later on, and a lot. It's really funny. They said, well, let's get like 30 songs and we choose the best ones. And Mutt would go, why on earth would you do that? If something's not good enough, don't do it. And it's as simple as that. So I like that approach. It really saves a lot of time. And there's so much waffling and kind of self-indulgence when you do that. Why do that? Yeah, if you're on a stream of conscious and you want to get it out, great. Yeah, do that. Then whittle it down. So before you bore the rest of the band with your indulgences, you whittle it down, then bring it to the guys and go, this is what I've got so far. What do you think? And that's the way to do it. And that's how we learned that from Mutt, really.
Let me just quickly ask you about the future. As you're writing for the next new Def Leppard album, how do you approach that? Do you are you at a point in your career where you just say, listen, we're going to put whatever songs out we want and call it Def Leppard and the fans will love it or they won't? Or do you say, no, we got to write like Adrenalize and Hysteria. We got to go back to, how do you approach the writing process? Because you talked before about sometimes you want to get to here.
Yeah.
For a new album, do you want to get to here, which is Hysteria Part 2 or Adrenalize? Or do you want to say, no, it's got to be new?
So every album is different. Like I said, you have a briefing. Like when we did Euphoria, we would, I think Slang come after.
Slang was first. Slang was 96, and no, Demolition Man, not the Demolition Man. Euphoria was after.
So it was a briefing. It's like we done Slang. It was like getting it off your chest. It was done very like live and gritty and all of that stuff. And it come out during the grunge thing, and it was great to do that. And then it was no one really liked it. We thought it was
I love Slang, by the way, and Move With Me Slowly is the best song that's on there. It was the Japanese bonus track. Should have been on the regular album, but Slang is fine.
I agree. So, but because of that, the reaction to that is like, well, then let's do an album not like Hysteria, but let's take Vault, the greatest hits album, and do an album that kind of meets that, because you got stuff on there that you got Bring On the Heartbreak right up to Pour Some Sugar or Let's Get Rock. They're very different. Yeah. So that was the parameters for the Euphoria album. So you kind of did have a briefing. The last album, the self-titled one, we went in to do a single and we just kept writing all these songs, and it was like they all sounded great in the context of Def Leppard. So the later stuff, the stuff we've been doing, is more in line with that. It doesn't really have a briefing. It just has to be cool. And having said that, like you may get a song and you go, yeah, this is really cool, but it sounds too much like this, or it hasn't got enough of a groove to it. Right. So you inject it, going back to the Mutt Lange 12 songs versus 30. So you kind of do that, all the above. You do what you've learned. You know what I mean? Moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be difficult for Def Leppard, because if you do something that sounds like classic Def Leppard, at some point people say, well, they're just parodying them. It's a parody of themselves. And if you try something new, they go, oh, it's too new. So it's like,
yeah,
you can't win.
You can't really worry about that. I saw Anthony Fauci they're giving him such shit on all this stuff at the moment. It's like, man, this, we're safer. We're going to be able to go on tour. Everyone's kind of doing that. And I think the guy's done so well. So you can't win. But one of the things that he said is like, look, I got really thick skin. I went through the AIDS epidemic. People would protest. I'd get death threats. People would do that until I actually said, look, come in. And he put some of these people on the panel. So he developed a thick skin. So to say, so have we. So it's fine when people say all the above. It's all good.
Talking about going on tour, are you disappointed that the stadium tour has been pushed to next summer?
Not in the context of I wouldn't want to go out there and play to a quarter of a stadium, and that's if we went out now, that's what that would actually mean. It's like, because it's not ready yet. It's not fully back, and some places are not even allowing it 100% yet, even with the sports stuff. So. Yeah, you want to do it. You want to knock it out of the ballpark. Excuse the pun, but it's when it comes up, you want to do it properly. So no, in that respect, I'm
Well, you guys had some tour dates set for the fall, I think, with ZZ Top and a couple of different things. Like, is that stuff still going to happen, or is Def Leppard just going to take another year off?
Well, that was last fall. That was supposed to be last fall.
Right.
So, yeah, that's kind of everything got moved. So yeah, I think what we'll do, we'll do the dates next year, the summer ones, and then just keep adding. And as the world opens up, it's like it'd be great to come up to Canada, go down to South America, do Australia, Japan, and just keep going, Europe, and as it becomes kind of available. So that's the thing, really.
And do it properly. Yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for the big Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, Journey, Whitesnake tour. That's what I'm voting for.
Yeah.
That's my wish.
That'd be awesome. Hey, talking about Motley Crue, you said, back in the day you got up on stage with them, and Vince Neil was doing a couple of shows over the weekend and just getting hammered online. Did you see any of those videos? Or
Yeah, and I heard about it. Yeah. Hey, look, he's got a year, so what, get back. It's there's a lot at stake when you go out there. You want to be your best. So hopefully we're all working out together and all that stuff. That's the other thing. We do have a camaraderie, especially with Motley Crue, and we'll get on with Nicky. We were talking just before the tour. It's like, we're going to work out together. We're going to do all this stuff. It's the whole. One of the things I learned from touring with Kiss, that they really go 100% about the show and every aspect of the show. If the different bands touring together, our crews would be working together on the Kiss tour so the show would look great. And I do feel a thing with that. If the show's even better, then it's even better for all of us. It's like you want that to happen. So yeah, with Vince, I'm thinking, he's got a year to go. Hopefully everything's cool by then.
Yeah.
Hope so. Fingers crossed.
I hope so too, because I just want to go and have an awesome time, and I'll have an awesome time regardless. But it's like,
I'll probably go on stage with them as well at some point. So
that'd be awesome. The guy from Girls singing "Girls, Girls, Girls."
There you go.
Oh, by the way, Girl was a great band.
It was fun. Huh? Yeah, I loved it. That came up the other day, actually.
Yeah, Phil Lewis did. Phil Lewis has a great voice. I mean, you can't. I mean, you've worked with great vocalists between Joe and Phil and some of the other ones. I mean, you've done well.
Thank you. Thanks. I've been working with Paul Cook. From the Professionals. He's doing a new Professionals album that will be out like fall. So I'm doing a few tracks on that. That's been great. So yeah, and like I said, Simon Laffey was in Man Ray. So it just full circle. It's like we're all in contact with each other and stuff, and it's constant. It's really cool.
Here, I just want to ask you one last question, just in terms of the Def Leppard sound. There are still the fans every so often that say, oh, they were the new wave of British heavy metal and they gave up being a metal band and so on. So I like the melodic approach. I like the Hysteria and Everything After Tonight, all those great songs. Was there a conscious decision to move away from the new wave of British heavy metal and be a more radio-friendly band? Or did it just sort of naturally occur? And do you look back and say, hey, maybe we should go back to sort of a more crunchy guitar approach on one song or two songs? Or
well, we do, and it kind of they go unnoticed whenever we do that. People don't really notice it, but I think it wasn't a conscious effort. And don't forget, the new wave of British heavy metal was a pub culture. It was a very small thing, and there weren't really many great bands. One of the things that attracted me to Def Leppard was they didn't sound like everyone else, and they had a more commercial, they had a vocal, a radio-friendly sound. So that's what they were trying to achieve. They just got lumped in with Witchfinder General and God knows what, So
Ethel the Frog or whatever it was called.
Ethel the Frog. Oh my God!
I think that was one of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Tigers of Pantang.
Yeah, so they got lumped in with that, but I never thought they were that anyway. So when I joined the band, it was like, I knew this because I knew Joe and Steve and everything already, even the way that they dressed. It was like, well, we don't want to be like you know, Judas Priest or Sabbath or anything. We like the Zeppelin thing, but we like T-Rex as well. So you had this different thing. So that was the approach, really. It wasn't like just all hard rock and that. It was kind of bringing this other thing into it, and we still do. We kind of we love all of that stuff. The Bowie stuff, to me, is just amazing.
Let me ask you this. You guys have gone and performed Hysteria live in its entirety quite a few times to celebrate the anniversary and do the Vegas thing. You know, Adrenalize is coming up with an anniversary next year, 2022. Would you guys consider going and doing that record in its entirety live? You know, stuff like Tonight and Make Love Like a Man. Like, that would sound so good live.
You're right. Actually, that's the first time anyone's actually mentioned that. So I think for that to happen, people have to mention it. You know, it's like when people go, why don't you come to Columbia? Why don't you talk? We haven't been invited. You know, have to get invited by a promoter. There has to be some interest and all of that.
Yeah.
So we get that a lot in different countries. You haven't been here for years, and it's like, we want to. It's like, you know, and not blaming it on the pandemic at all. It's just you got to go where you're invited. So even something like that, it's got to be brought up, and it's got to become a seed in someone's mind. Like this Hysteria thing. It become a thing. Like when we did it the first time in Vegas, it's like the promoters, they're requesting, they would love it if you would do Hysteria, and it's starting to be like, oh, okay, we've always wanted to do that. So awesome. We were thinking about, you know, Pyromania as well, but yeah, Adrenalize would be really cool actually, because we'd have to do, you know, learn those songs and yeah, it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Here, I'll ask you one thing since you mentioned Hysteria. The album had, what was it, 7 singles, 9 singles? I mean, and the other songs that weren't released as singles were singles. They could have been singles. At some point, does an album have too long of a shelf life and the record company says, okay, we got to shut it down because we need the new next album? How did that decision come about?
It does. It's kind of that, but it also, the shelf life starts running out as well. You know, you go, there's other bands that come along. You know, I think we will go into the last single was Rocket, if I'm not mistaken, and then we was going to go with Love and Affection. That was going to be the next one, and there was a decline in interest at that point. We'd got off tour with doing these other things, so there was a natural kind of slowing down. So yeah, I get it. I totally understand that. The window for anything is a lot smaller than people think, and it's not just the band, but it's everything. It's especially in this day and age, you know, you with TikTok and everything. It's you know, how many seconds is that? And that's what you're on. Your 15 minutes becomes 15 seconds, and then all of this stuff. So there's a very narrow window. So you have to make it really kind of forceful. And if you miss it, sometimes you go, okay, well, that was that particular cycle. We kind of moved on from that.
Do the TikToks of this world affect your writing, where you go, we can't do 7-minute songs, we got to have a 2.5-minute song and in and out?
We've always had that, to be quite honest. I mean, the song Slang is 2 minutes 50, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm absolutely one for going, this is boring. Stop boring. Let's get to the chorus. This is indulgent. Let's chop this out. And especially now with the new culture, the new phone culture, you know, where everything is like, I'm bored, you know, entertain me. You know, everything has kind of shrunk a little bit. So you have to make it more impact. And you go back to the 60s, and that's how the songs were back then. I've actually started writing these novels as well, these kind of stories. I've got like 4 or 5 on the go. I actually finished one just before we finished our last tour, and it's great. So I'm not going to mention too much about it because it's going to be coming out. But the approach, I've never done any writing before in my life, and they're really dark, suspense, drama, supernatural, all of this stuff. But the approach was very much like a song. So I ended up doing short stories because I found that writing, it started boring me. I'm going, oh God, it's too many details. And if I can get these cool details into a smaller thing, it gives it more punch. And I think songwriting's like that. And especially if you're writing stuff that appeals to a larger audience, you better make sure it's right. You have to edit it. You have to self-edit, and you have to make it kind of compress it. Unfortunately,
here and here's how I'll support that. When you go to a Paul McCartney concert, it's usually a 38 song concert, and you go 38 songs. It must have been 4 hours. It's like, no, it's 38 2-minute songs that he gets them in and gets them out, and everybody's cheering the entire way, and that's the way I think it should be.
I 100% agree. Again, see Prince, and Prince would be great at getting indulgent. I've seen him play jazz stuff. I've been in a little club when he's gone and played stuff I've never heard before. Mm-hmm. And then other times he'll go, well, I'm going to do a medley. I'm going to do Little Red Corvette, but, a minute 30 version, verse, chorus, Purple Rain, verse, chorus. And you walk away and you're still, you go, oh, that was great. I got to hear Purple Rain. Yeah, you only heard a little bit of it, but I think there's something to that. I think that especially as an artist, that you have so much stuff. It's a way to get around it.
Yeah, the Scorpions do a medley, which is perfect. They give you all the 70s Scorpion stuff in a 9-minute medley, and you go, oh, that's smart. I love that.
That's a great way of doing it. That's a great idea. I didn't hear that, but and we toured with them, obviously, and we Australia with them, and
well, when you hear a Def Leppard fan say, well, they don't do Rock Brigade, they don't do Wasted, you know what, do like Scorpions, do a little 9-minute medley with a couple of minutes of each, in you go, out you go. Thank you, folks.
But can I just tell you about that, because there's an interesting thing. I remember once, this was years ago, we were playing Wembley Arena, and Peter Mensch, our then manager, said, man, you should play Wasted. And we were on top of the pops. It was all, Hysteria and Adrenalize and all of this stuff. And we done it as an encore, and it killed it. No one knew it.
Right.
Except 3 people at the front going absolutely And then the rest of the audience was like a real buzzkill.
Yep.
And we would do it now. It wouldn't bother us because we have a different approach. It's slightly different, and we're better. And I don't know why, but we can pull that off somehow better than we did back then. But that's the reason you don't do that. That's the reason you don't do your rock brigades, and that you have if you're doing an hour and a half or 2 hours, you only have so much time. So we give ourselves a song. You have stuff from a new album. You have to have hits, and there's songs you have to play. But there's other things that you go, yeah, we ain't got time for that. We just got a very small window for that, so we'll throw something. But I do like the Scorpions.
They do Top of the Bill, Speedy's Coming, and a bunch of other ones all jammed in, and you're just like, that's all I need. I need a minute of Speedy's Coming. I'm good. I don't need the whole 5 minutes. It's a very smart approach.
You don't need the whole Uli John Roth solo.
Well, you do need Uli John Roth. You always need Uli because Uli's good. But I think it's just a smarter way to, in a one song kind of block, say, all right, here's a taste. You got your taste. Now stop. Let's get back to the hits.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Phil? It's like I asked Paul Stanley. I was like, Paul, everybody's always moaning about the set list. You've got these diehard fans that claim they go to 3 or 4 shows and they're like, oh, it's the same show every show. Why don't they switch it up? And he always says, well, listen, I'm not going to do a 2-hour show for those 3-4 diehards that are going to come. I'm playing for the other 15,000 casual fans.
Hello, there you go. 100%. You people had this very localized thing. They think that you're just playing for them. No, motherfucker, we got to go and do this somewhere else. We've got to do this in Vancouver. We've got to do this all over the place.
Yeah.
So yes, I totally agree with him.
Yeah.
Oh, well. There we go.
Last question before you wrap up. Do you listen to any modern country music at all?
I try. I try. Yeah. I feel that the beauty of country and Western back in the day was the telling of the story, So without the history, not too much of a history lesson, you had the blues. It kind of fractured into different things. It went to, Delta blues, acoustic blues, gospel. Yeah. It had all of that, and then finally to Chicago and became electric. There was another offshoot, and that became country and Western. It was coming from the same source, but it was storytelling. Mm-hmm. And it was usually about heartbreak and whatever. It was like all different things, family, all of these things. And there was some amazing stuff in country. And I thought that disappeared. And I thought that the bro dude country thing, I'm not a fan, because it kind of, you miss the main point, and it hasn't got any of the great stuff. It's got something, it's got like almost like cheesy 80s rock stuff, you know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, because it's, you know, I heard the best Def Leppard song on country radio the other day. Like, there's a song from Lady Antebellum, sorry, Lady A, they're Lady A now. It's called Champagne Night, okay? It is Pour Some Sugar on Me, just completely recycled. It's super similar drum samples, like the guitars. I think it was Dan Huff that produced it. Like, the thing about country is they've all said, okay, the rock guys don't like the 80s arena rock, so we'll just take it. So now
that's something different, because I actually quite like Lady A.
I do too.
Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. And there's the people that are not really country that I really love listening to. Like, I love Lyle Lovett. He's cool. That's not really country. You know, Alison Krauss is amazing. And Union Station, her band, beautiful.
That Paper Planes album is phenomenal.
Right? But I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the newer stuff that jams up the airwaves, that hasn't got that that beauty, that this or that. It hasn't got the great elements of country. And I that's what I'm missing. So I tried to write a song the other day, and I thought, this is kind of going a bit country, and I put on some country, modern country, and I wasn't inspired. I wasn't inspired lyrically, and that and I wasn't inspired by the thing. It was like it was something else. So like I said, I think that there's some wonderful stuff, especially back in the day, but the modern commercialized new country stuff, a lot of it I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you had, what was it, 9 Lives? Was that the one that was sort of country-ish?
Tim McGraw, yeah, we had Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stuff that's come since then.
Different thing. And honestly, every country song today is like, got a truck, got a beer, gonna whisper in your girl's ear. Like, it's, you know, very... It's
that's a new song right there.
Substance.
Yeah, it's not. That's not cool. That's a cheap way. That's a cheap shot of doing it. It's very much like in the 80s when you lost the spirit of, even say the bands like Us, Motley, Bon Jovi. You had very pale versions that missed the point of what we were trying to do.
Yes,
and that's what I'm talking about in country. And I'm not talking about, you know, the great country. I'm not talking about your Alan Jackson's or even latter day stuff, you know, like
Keith Urban.
Awesome. Keith Urban's amazing. I'm not talking I'm talking about the other stuff, the commercialized stuff that hasn't got any of the good parts. It's just the commercial. And you have that in every genre of music. You have it in hip hop, you know, jazz. I'm really disappointed in jazz, you know, after the 70s, you know, after the Chick Corea and Stanley Clarke, Aldo Meola, all of that stuff, or the track that we did, you know, Quadrant 4 by Billy Cobham.
Yeah,
it was amazing, and that was a very kind of creative period. And after that, jazz didn't do that. It just kind of got comfy, got some slippers, and got kind of boring. And I'm still waiting for that next great jazz. Same with every genre, you know, and I think it'll come. There will be someone to come along and go, whoa, I really loved it when I heard Lizzo, because all of a sudden it was just someone else. She's got a rock voice. She's real. Yeah. And it's got salt and soul and fire. It's got all of these things. So you put that amongst a lot of other stuff, and it's like, yeah, you know, this is great. This is really good. What's up, Bob?
I think he's telling us it's time to go. There we go.
He's like, I want breakfast.
I know. Yeah, that.
He's like, let's go work out.
I know, right?
Well, listen, this is so much fun, Phil. This is we went way longer than what we were expecting to, but here we are.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Always a pleasure. And
great.
And we have a mission. Let's find those 2 songs that were recorded in Montreal in whatever it was, 2003, 4, whenever that was. The
Unplugged Montreal session.
That would, right. That would. I mean,
I know they exist.
Yeah.
And I know they're there. I was there. I was in the studio with, it was you, there was you, Joe, and Malvin, and I think that was it.
Yeah, it was, because we done we done a little gig as well. We done a few, just the two of us, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. And I think that stuff is priceless. So yeah, and like I say, Joe is really great at getting that stuff and making it, getting it remastered and mixed or whatever. He takes that on, and I bless him for it, because I haven't got the energy for that, but he does it, and he loves it, and it's great. And he comes out and you go, wow, this is amazing. Where's this been? He said, well, I found this and I got Ronan to remix it, and we mastered it, and it's like, wow, well done. And that's what he did on this. So, again, props to Joe.
Props to Joe.
Yeah. And what about, so everybody hate me if I didn't ask this. So what's the word with new Def Leppard music? Can we expect a new record sometime soon?
You can't, you're asking a member of Def Leppard, when's the new album coming? Yeah, it's coming. Yeah. I don't know when, but yeah, we're always recording. We're always writing. Me and Joe have been writing so much during this pandemic. We've been actually writing more than we've ever done in our career. We've got some amazing stuff on the go. So it's all whenever stuff gets finished and stuff like that. As you know, we record
all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
even on tour, we've done this. It was really funny. We done this Christmas song a few years ago, and I remember we were playing Miami, and it was like 90 odd degrees out, so it's so baking hot, and we're doing this Christmas song, and I walked backstage to do this vocal, just we'd sound check, and it's like, well, you have to make sure that Tesla aren't sound check, or Journey, or whoever was on, and it's like, okay, when they finish, then we can get in there and just slam this vocal down. So it's always stuff like that, and that's exciting. That kind of keeps that kind of
now.
Yeah.
And I'll finish on this.
That, with Bryan Adams right now, he's working with Mutt Lange on his new record. So Mutt's not as retired as everybody thinks. So at some point, is Mutt going to come in and maybe do a new collaboration with you guys?
Right, love it. Always,
that would be great. And since you left Perfect Girl off of X, and obviously the decision making is not what it should be, just send us stuff to me and Jeremy, and we will tell you what goes on the album. That'll be the best way to do it.
Okay, I think so. Yeah. And we'll dig that up as well, because that is cool.
Thank you, sir. Merci beaucoup, as we say in Montreal.
Hey, how are you doing up there, by the way, guys? What's the latest, pandemic and all that stuff?
It's weird because I'm getting my second dose of the vaccine next week, and because of they've actually already vaccinated over 75% of our province, so they're bumping up the second dose instead of the 16 weeks. Now it's 8 weeks. So they canceled all the big festivals and stuff for later this summer, but the way it's going, everything's pretty much open over here.
It should be. I mean, Genesis is coming here in November, and Genesis is not doing a quarter of a stadium. They're doing the whole thing. And the Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center, we love the Bell Center, are now accepting fans. So we're getting there.
That's great. That's great. And it's a slow process. So the Genesis, who's in the band?
Well, the three. So Mike, Phil, and Tony. And they're doing 2 nights at the Bell Center in November, and they're not playing to 1,000 people. They're playing to the Bell Center.
Yeah. It even says on the ticket side, it says not presented with socially distance or anything.
So we're getting there.
I think so, and I think because some places aren't yet. I mean, obviously the India thing, and I've got friends in New Zealand, and that's been great all along. That everyone took notice of it and locked it down, and they've been normal for a year. And Las
Vegas last night at the hockey game had a sold out barn of 15 or 16,000. So.
Well, they had 60,000 Canelo boxing thing the other day, the week in Texas. So, I wouldn't read too much into that. I think that there's a right way of doing it, and I think that the fact that most people get kind of vaccinated, and you can do stuff like that, and it just makes it just great.
Well, I think the Canadian approach is good. I mean, we've got ourselves vaccinated, but we're still slowly building up to. Whereas in the States, they seem to have gone, "Hey, we're good. 60,000 people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like the Canadian approach though. It's
a little more tepid or timid, I guess. It's a timid approach.
But it's kind of cautious. It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of,
it's smart. Let's call it what it is. It's smart.
It is smart. And you know, it's like we had an abundance of vaccine here, and you know, I got mine in April. That's my first shot in April, and then you know, it's just it become available. It was like, well, we got to get rid of it. If someone doesn't use this, it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, sure, I'm in.
Down to the local CVS, get your vaccine. You're good.
Absolutely, it's good to go. Yeah, and I get info from my friend Tanya, who's in Montreal, and she was telling me how it's going. So it sounds collectively like it's slowly moving. It sounds great. I just like the way that Canadians do things. It's very cool.
Yeah,
it's moving in the right direction. Oh,
yeah.
There you go. All right, Phil. Well, this is great. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'll shoot you a text when this is up. You can check it out.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely. So and be safe. Yeah, I'm excited about getting back out on tour. Like I said, it's going to be a year, but I think all these other things keep flooding in the meantime. You know, the thing the other week with there's the thing, the Beastly Ball. Did you hear about this?
Yes.
So it's me and Slash, Robert DeLay.
Oh yeah, that yes.
That comes out today. We went to a studio which was really weird. We all masked up. It was the first time I'd played with living, breathing people. So that was great, and it was brilliant to play with Slash. He's amazing. I'd never played together with him, so we played great together. It was really, really cool.
Can I just ask you this? When you're off the road and you're sort of forced off, do you sort of reevaluate life, and when you're thrown off the train and go, hey, this slower pace is kind of cool? Or do you like, no, I need this. I need to.
No, I dig that slower pace. I mean, I really like doing that actually. And it's like, and I think it's great having both. You know, I'm from London. That's crazy. Always has been, you know, weather sucks. And then I come to California with a different vibe. So I do like the collective of all the above, really.
Do you think it extends the band's life, where Phil and Joe's rested his voice and you guys are rested in the shoulders and the whatever that might hurt is all been sort of, the Bobos have been taken care of, and you go, you know what, maybe we could do this another 10 years.
I definitely think we can. I know physically, I performed with Chaka Khan last week it's for Black Girls Rock TV. Black Girls Rock is a it helps. It's a whole thing done by Beverly Bond. It's women of color, giving them a voice and everything. So it was a thing that we did at the Nokia Theatre that's now called the Microsoft Theatre. But again, it was the first time I'd walked on a stage. Still no people, and everyone backstage is
with the mask,
temperature check, mask, and got to be vaxxed to get there. It was so amazing. She was phenomenal, and the band was outrageous. It was great. But again, it was like, I've just seen the footage of it, of me playing with the band. It's like, yeah, I could definitely do this for another 10 years. And she's,
good,
later 60s and killing it still. It's like, well, why not? And it was just a joy. It was a joy to do that. And again, you look at the Stones and they get out there and do it all the time. So I absolutely, if you still got something to offer and you're still that excited about it, which we are, you absolutely do. That, by the way, that will come out, I think, at the end of this month, the Black Girls Rock TV thing. So
nice. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Awesome. Well, there you go. First edition of the birthday show. Done.
There you go. Wow. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My favorite living guitarist, Mitch. He's right there.
Thank you.
Right. That is true. I agree. I won't disagree.
When we was doing this thing the other week, the engineer in the studio said, I'm kind of freaking out. He said, my two favorite guitar players in the world are in there playing together. And so that was really cool. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Does that get old, having people fangirl over you?
No, it's so wonderful. And especially when it was real, because he was very genuine and you could tell. And it was like, wow. And we did, we played great together. It was just awesome.
But you know what's so weird, Mitch? The first time Phil and I ever met, we were playing on stage together. at the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp in Vegas. So it was really weird. So now it's just cool, you know?
Yeah. And I have to say, over the last 40 years or 35 years, the two bands that have consistently given me joy, regardless of what critics say, is Def Leppard and Bon Jovi. You can put on a song at any time, 2004, 2010, to even last week, and it just makes you smile. It just does.
Good. Well, good.
And for me, it's everything. I like Bad Actress is one of the greatest songs you've done. And sure, it doesn't get the accolades, of course, I'm sure, but it's a great song.
You record these songs and you hope that they stick. Some do and some don't. You just never know what ones are gonna have a longer. And
that what was it? Long Way to Go, the stripped version, which was on a bonus side B. It's beautiful, you know. So keep it going.
If you love that stuff, you're gonna freak out to what's coming. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm ready for it. I love all the B-sides. I love all the demos, and between you and Joe and John Bon Jovi, you just keep going. Who cares what any critic says?
Nothing else to do. I love it. So yeah, for sure.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
That's it. Hey, just real quick? What's going on with the PC ones? Is there any new guitars in the works or?
Yeah, I'm having one made that was supposed to be for this year. I've got a PC Supreme, but my latest one, hang on a sec.
New guitar day. Look at this.
Oh no. I've got another one that's this, but this one's got a really monster neck. It's
oh my God.
It's crazy. It's like, it's like it's huge.
How do you play that though? I mean, like I remember when we first met at the Vegas thing, I got to feel your the one with your birthday on it. And yes. The London one. And the neck on that is pretty monstrous.
Yeah, this is more so, but
because you had that one and you had the other one. It almost like it has like the SG-ish kind of body.
Yes,
like the Music Man-y.
Yeah,
that's the Supreme.
Yeah, there's a new one of them being made for when we got out. But I've got a bunch of them. I like the tone. It gives a fatter tone. They stay in tune. I use really heavy strings, so it's and play aggressively. If I had like the thin necks, I'd be hitting it out of tune all the time. So it's for lots of reasons, really.
Still the metal picks?
Yeah.
I've actually got one of your metal picks in my room right here.
Yeah.
Now a steel one. I went to brass.
Oh, did you? Oh, I don't have the brass one. I have the steel ones from
your one, but they're
It was the Bryan Adams tour. So you and Brian. So 2004 ish.
2005. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The brass ones are killer. They're really.
Where do you get those? Because like, I'm really curious to try out, what it feels like or sound like to use a metal pick. Like, can you buy them from Dunlop or like?
You can now, but it is a really interesting story. My buddy Rudy, who I grew up playing guitar with in London, we've always had this quest for tone and sounds and Floyd Rose DiMarzios and all this stuff. So we're constantly doing these. He said, "Here, check this out." And I played this brass one. I go, "Oh my God, this is the best pick." So he gave it to me, and I used it for a whole British tour. So if I dropped it, I'd be looking on the floor and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I've got it."
Blends in with the deck.
Right. So the last gig is London. It's Wembley. Brian May's there from Queen. I said, "Brian, I've got this thing. I've got this brass pick that my buddy Rudy gave to me. And I play this because it's kind of a tribute to you. I mean, in the first place, you use a sixpence. So here you go." And he said, "Oh, no. I can't, if your friend gave it to you, if Rudy gave it to you, I can't take it." I said, "No, it's fine. I'm sure he'd be fine if Brian May's got the pick."
Yeah.
So, Brian took it. And I, since then, Dunlop makes me brass on with Def Leppard all embossed over it. I'm trying to look for another one here somewhere, but there we go. Yeah, it's got my name on.
Nice.
It says, where are we? It's got Def Leppard.
Wow.
Would you guys ever consider selling those? Like, it's like the Phil Collen Def Leppard pick pack or something? Or
what's a great idea? Why not? Hey, that's a great idea. You'll get your first pack free, obviously.
I'll get the first one. Did you use the metal picks on Hysteria or like Adrenalize? Or
yeah, I did. And again, there's a presence that even when you're playing that there's a thing, and there's obviously an attack. Yeah.
So it's all about the attack. Yeah,
it is. But also there's a slight presence on the chords, especially if you're playing rock stuff. It's got a, you know, an attack to it that's kind of.
And Vivian has to use them too, so that the attack sort of stays similar.
He used what he wants, but it's he was using them for a while. I'm not sure what he's using right now. And actually, you know, we drift in and out. We sound completely different, even when we play each other's guitars and rigs and everything. But we both play through a fractal, and that comes out a different speaker. So it's easy to control. You know,
but that's the thing. You could be playing through the same guitar patch, but it's all in the fingers.
It is. It always sounds like, you know, again, without name dropping, I'd done this thing in Japan, classic rock, a few years ago, and Jeff Beck was playing. I got to play with him, and it was just incredible. But the amp blew up. So they got another amp in, and he plugged in, and it was like, wow, it sounds just like Jeff Beck. and that's the thing. And again, you know, with the Chaka Khan thing the other day, you know, she started singing and I got goosebumps. I was like, oh, Jesus, it sounds like Chaka Khan. And it's like, oh my God, it is Chaka. Oh my God, I'm playing guitar. So it was definitely that. And again, you know, with the Jeff Beck thing, it's that thing. So yeah.
What gauge strings are you using these days?
13 to 54.
13 to 54. Do you remember what you were using on Hysteria or Adrenalize?
Yeah, it was started on 10s on the Hysteria that and kind of went to 11s later on, and then it just went to 12s and then 13s. So it just kept going up. Wow. Usually with a tour, I by the end of a tour, I go, wow, this feels like rubber, and you know, I could go a bit harder. But 14 is the cutoff. I've got a Telecaster that's got 14 to 56, and it's really cool. But it changes the sound. I actually think it sounds a bit thick and not muddy because it's still kind of bright and everything. But something about it is a little thicker that I'm not really digging. So.
And then when you're using the thicker strings, you know, on Hysteria through a Rockman, I feel like it would give the Rockman a little bit more beef.
Yeah, I mean, when Mike Shipley was. When he had EQ'd it and everything, it didn't really sound like a Rockman anyway. No. It sounded like something else. It was the fact that it had a pure cleanliness to it that you didn't have these weird. I mean, nowadays, you know, with these amps the way they are, you can get away with murder. But back then, there was a lot of really weird frequencies. So if you're playing multi-guitar parts, they'd just get lost, and it'd be tragic. Especially, like I was saying, you've got this bottom end, this low end stuff as well. So with the guitar stuff, you know, it really made sense playing something that's kind of smooth.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Well, Mitch, I'm gonna have to go borrow that metal pick. I'm gonna try it out.
Want me to show it to you? It's over here.
You got the stainless steel one, right?
I got the stainless steel one.
Yeah.
Does the stainless steel and the bronze pick have a difference in tone?
They do. They do, but you know, they still sound like they sound like a metal pick, and it's really it's tight. It's more for the player really I feel a difference. And the brass ones are better on the strings because of the stainless steel will trash your strings up, but these kind of give. If I'm playing a lot, there'll be a little desert of brass dust underneath them. You know, this gives, and I use a Brillo pad because I have to do this because they get kind of notches in them after a while.
Right.
So I do that. Obviously, with a stainless steel one, you don't have to do that.
Do I have to give the stainless steel one back at any point?
It's good.
Good. I get to keep it. Good.
Yeah, there you go.
Talking of Montreal, Victor from Montreal lent me one of his PC ones.
Oh, did he?
I've got it here, and he had a stainless steel pick in it. Funny enough,
have I shown you the stainless steel pick, Jeremy?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, look at that! Oh, wow!
Oh, wow!
That's beautiful,
Victor. If you're watching, and there's his stainless steel pick.
Oh, wow! And that's the one. That's the one. That's the kind I have.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find a PC one right now, and I can't find one anywhere. It's like they're kind of hard to find these days.
Yeah, there's a Victor in Montreal who has them.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. I think we're especially after the next few things, like, you know, with Chaka, I was playing one, with Slash, I was playing a different one, and yeah, I think that we'll probably release some new ones when we get closer to the tour, like for next NAMM, I would imagine.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna start saving up because it's weird. I have all the Eddie Van Halen guitars stuff, but like for some reason I don't own a PC one, and I've been looking for years to get one, and so I'm gonna have to wait for that.
Oh yeah,
up your game.
Yeah,
there we go.
So I saw a red one on Reverb, and I was like, that is really nice. But the guy wanted like 7 Gs for it. I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Wow, yeah.
Phil will sell you one for 6 Gs. So.
Well, there you go. At least it was owned by Phil. Come on.
All right.
You get the Phil discount.
Thing, you know, after Ed died, it was like all the Eddie Van Halen stuff just went through the freaking roof.
Yeah.
Like you, even like the Stripe series guitars that are like, you know, originally $699, like people are selling them for like 2 Gs, like on eBay, like just trying to cash in. I'm like,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the resale market is like it's saturated and the prices are through the roof. But the thing is that there's a market for it, so people are paying, so the prices aren't going down.
It's weird, isn't it? Actually, with the whole pandemic, because the guitar industry was kind of doing this, but you know, you had the pandemic, and everyone goes, "I want to learn how to play guitar." You know, you see TV, everyone's got doing Zoom calls. They've all got guitars in the background.
Yeah,
it's such a thing. So it's a really great time to be a guitar player.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, the amount of crap that I've bought through this pandemic, like guitar shit, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah, I hear you.
I've just been buying CDs and a lot of crazy CDs. So
yeah,
it's all about the CDs. It's all. Every available Def Leppard, Bon Jovi song that's been somewhere on a CD, I own. Period. End of story.
The great thing is, but
it's cost me a fortune.
The CD player is going to be the hard thing. That's harder to get now, obviously. You know,
external hard drive on a computer is good enough.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. But you know, yeah, I agree. But I've got a little one here just in case. I just plug it into. Everything is in this table right in front of me. Yes, it's pretty cool.
CD still sounds the best. I don't care what people say about vinyl. CD still sounds the best to me. So.
I do like vinyl. I actually, you know, I kind of get into that, and some of the remastered, you know, Abbey Road mastered. I got this Police album. It's like just sounds amazing. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Box set June 11th.
Yep. Box set June 11th. Make sure you get it and catch them on tour at some point.
I didn't know that. June 11th. Okay. I'll remember that date.
My birthday's June 12th, so it comes the day before. So I'm celebrating my birthday. Just gonna blast through the whole box set.
Perfect.
And it's a great box set. The B sides, the Long Way to Go, the 10 Times Bigger Than Love, Give Me a Job, the Now acoustic, perfect. That's all the hard stuff to find. And it's all the great stuff. Those songs, Rebel. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Merci bien.
Look at Mitch just fangirling.
Hey, listen. When you like something, you like something.
Yep.
It's cool.
All right.
Merci
well,
bien.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks a lot for this, and we'll keep in touch.
Sounds good. Absolutely. Stay safe up there.
Merci.
Yeah, back at you. Best to Jax and the wife, and yeah, we'll see you around.
All righty. Cheers. Take care.
Yeah. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.